Friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. We are going to be talking about Freemasonry signs, symbols, and gestures. Yesterday, I did a video for you and it got a lot of comments. I'm going to share some of your comments as well. And what I did is I played a video for you that was done by a Mormon and probably also he was also a Mason, and he got a behind the scenes tour. So this is the video that I'm referencing, and this was the part one, and I promised you that we were going to break it down together. I asked you to take a look at some of the signs and symbols, see if you could see anything. What I was looking for in particular were some of the gestures that they were sort of sneaking in, maybe thinking that we weren't going to be watching or something, but we sure as heck were watching. And I want to thank all of you for sending me your emails and your comments and leaving a comment as well. And so we're going to be looking at that. Before we do any of that, I do need to mention that I did catch just a few minutes of this President Trump awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously. Let me share my screen here. And of course, Erica Kirk, I think she might have taken some acting lessons because she was trying to be a little bit more sincere. Of course, she's flashing those diamond encrusted, gigantic gold Masonic rings, and she's got 3 of them. And if she is practicing witchcraft, and I can't tell you if she is or isn't, but she certainly wears clothing that at least this black dress, I guess that was more suitable because people were commenting on her black and white ensemble. I don't know why I said it that way, at the, well, it wasn't a funeral and it wasn't really a memorial. It was a political rally about a month ago. And so here she is with her Kleenex wiping away the non-existent tears. This just aired. And so I will do a video for you on it tomorrow because I started researching into the Scandinavian and Norse mythology when it comes to witchcraft and the occult and the braided hair and all of that. Friends, I guess I need to leave a disclaimer for people who don't understand that obviously it could all be innocent. Obviously, every parent, every mom has gigantic gold diamond encrusted rings with the initials of her children that just also happen to be the exact initials of Freemasonry, the M for the Masons and the G for geometry or the grand architect of the universe or Gnosticism or any of their other secret meanings. And of course, the braided hair and the long hair could just be because she is Swedish and she happens to have long hair, or it could be because the Scandinavian witches use long hair and long fingernails for witchcraft. You don't want to hear about that? Then you don't need to watch that video. For those of you that like to dig deeper, that's what I'm going to be talking about. So Charlie Kirk was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, even though most people didn't really even know who Charlie Kirk was until this entire incident. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. I think I might have a couple of pictures of her. Oh, yes, there she is, the grieving widow. Everybody grieves differently, and I agree. I used to run a grief share group, so I've seen all different faces of grief, and none of them look like this because that's not grief. In fact, grief will leave an indelible etching of just unrelenting sorrow that you carry with you your entire life. And I don't see that here. Many of you don't either. There she is again. And of course, flashing those rings, always using the tissue in that hand. Anyhow, what we're going to do is look at what I found in this video. Let me decrease the size of my screen a little bit here, and I will have all of this laid out for you in my Substack. As a matter of fact, I think I would like to do that first because I laid out several of these gestures for you in a Substack that was published today. Let me know if you're on that list and if you've seen it. And before we go there, let me give another disclaimer for people that might be new to the channel. Signs and symbols and gestures and colors and insignias and logos and animals and anything that could be used to communicate something obviously could be used without any hidden agenda. That kind of goes without saying. But when people are using these symbols and these numbers and these colors and these gestures and these signs intentionally and repeatedly, and sometimes awkwardly, or just like overly frequently, then in my view, they are trying to communicate something. You may have used all of these gestures that I'm about to share with you, and that obviously doesn't make you a Freemason. Although I guess I need to say it because people will leave a comment on my video saying, I've used that sign and I'm not a Freemason. Well, obviously, no color, gesture, symbol is inherently wrong or bad or used for ill intent, but it is the intention behind it. So I want you to think about the rainbow symbol and the rainbow flag in particular. Bible readers know that the rainbow was sent by God to symbolize his covenant with Noah to never again destroy the earth with a flood, and it serves as a sign of his promise, mercy, and faithfulness. But when I share my screen and we take a look at this rainbow flag, let me know if the first thing you think of is Noah and the Bible and the flood. And that's because the homosexual community has used this symbol to indicate that they are a part of this community. In other words, gay pride. And it's a perfect example of how innocent symbols and colors and things that you may love, rainbows, you may have some of them in your home, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that doesn't make you a homosexual, just like doing an okay sign or thumbs up or anything else makes you a Freemason. But you have to admit, if you're honest and you want to face the facts of reality, that these symbols and gestures and signs and colors and logos can be used intentionally to communicate that you are a part of a club or that you are a part of something that's going on. So the same thing happens with the Masons and with occultic practices. There are gestures, colors, signs, symbols that if you want to not have the wool pulled over your eyes, then you can be observant and notice these things. So people who deny that reality are just keeping themselves willingly ignorant, and this isn't the channel for them. So having said that, let's take a look at some of these signs here. And this is just the very, very tip of the iceberg. But what I want to do is share with you just kind of a laundry list of different images that I personally have been collecting over the years. Friends, you heard it here first. I'm sure that these images are going to show up in somebody's other live stream or their YouTube channel or their Substack, and that's great. I'm glad that the word is getting out there. But this is information and research that I have personally done. So here you can see, just going through, you've got Freemasons or occults, people that practice occultism, and they really are intertwined. So they borrow from each other. Scientology uses some of these symbols, and Hermeticism and Kabbalah and different secret societies. So I'm less concerned about which secret society it is, and I'm more interested in knowing how widespread this is and how unusual these positions are. I don't think you probably have seen me maybe do a gesture here or there innocently as I was gesturing and describing something, but you would be hard pressed to find me doing an artificial pose like this, knowing that the camera was taking a picture and wanting this to be kind of like I'm demonstrating something for somebody. So this is what's weird. And what's weirder still is that these were the pictures that were selected by the media to show us. Out of all the images that could be shown, these are the ones that crop up. And then we've got Del Bigtree, we've got Bob Jr., we've got Tucker with his little red bracelet on. So there's Tomlinson. Many of you were very chagrined, and many of you knew that he practiced these things. And then this weird bent thumb, and you're going to see it not only from Charlie frequently. It's so weird. Many of you said you've never done that. It's even difficult for you to do that. That's done intentionally. There's Frank Turek doing it. There's Glenn Beck doing it. There's Erica Kirk doing it. There's Glenn Beck doing it, doing a double. There's Elon Musk doing a double. So at this point, I'm like, okay, there's something behind this symbol. It's not random. It is posed. It is intentional. I actually don't know what it means other than symbolizing that they're a part of a club that I ain't in and you ain't either. But look who is. There's another bent thumb. I find it very strange. Of course, you can just do an internet search and find all of these celebrities because the Masons have infiltrated entertainment. And it's also connected to the Illuminati, came after Freemasonry, and also I would say copied a lot of these signs and symbols. Again, I'm less interested whether it's the Illuminati or the Freemasons or the Kabbalah. It's just bizarre. And here we've got two pastors. There's Jack Hibbs. There's Charlie Kirk. That was Charlie Kirk's mentor, who we are told passed away of COVID. Yes. And that's Bill Montgomery. And of course, Kirk, Montgomery, and McCoy are all characters in Star Trek, interestingly. I will do a video for you all about what's in a name. This is the governor of Utah. And of course, Utah, full of Mormons, and Mormons come from Masonry, as you saw in the video yesterday. They were both Mormons talking about the Masonic roots. You can go to the main website of the what's the name of the church? Latter-day Saints, and you can click on the information all about the Mormon roots of Masonry, Freemasonry. There's no secret. So Joseph Smith was a Freemason, and he started the Mormon church, and this fellow is probably a Freemason also, and undoubtedly a Mormon. And this Y refi, look at that letter Y. That's going to become significant as we do a breakdown of the video. And this symbol of the Y refi was a sponsor of Charlie Kirk's college tours. And this symbol, I'll break down in another video, it also is very suspect. And the Y refi had different payment plans for students that were in debt. All right, Glenn Beck again, the 666, double sixes for Glenn. And who's that? I don't watch TV, but that's Jesse Waters. Benny Johnson really throws down the signals a lot. I still will be breaking down his comments at the political rally. There's Erica, there's Trump, there's Beyonce. So the Masons and the Illuminati have infiltrated law enforcement, politics, entertainment, sports, your local political activities and so forth, your schools, your churches, basically everything. And there's Shiva doing it as well. I don't know why he's doing it. I don't know if he's a Freemason, but you would be hard pressed to find me doing that. And if I did, it would be accidental and it would be for a moment. I wouldn't sit there doing it to try to signal something to you. Yes, people do use that gesture to make a point. It's a very vulgar gesture in most countries. It's like giving somebody the middle finger in our Western culture. There's Roger Stone with the members of the Proud Boys. That's not accidental. There's Erica doing it as she's leaving Utah, apparently, and holding Charlie's necklace, which somehow didn't get obliterated with this bullet that should have severed his head from his body, but he had a little trickle of blood coming out. Of course, no blood splatter, no blood trail. Do I need to remind you again? No burial, no medical report. It goes on and on and on. And I'm glad the word's getting out there. More and more people are repeating that. And this is super creepy and bizarre. This is Charlie, we're told, and his wife and their baby making a photocopy of that same sign. This is from her Instagram page, Mr. Serica Kirk. And you can see it for yourself. It's absolutely bizarre. And I did a complete deep dive on her Instagram page in the very first days of this incident. And I got excoriated for it because people were still reeling from their emotions and they couldn't see or think clearly. Go back and see it now, and you'll be able to see how creepy it is, where she shares her vials of blood. She shows her daughter wearing a pair of shoes with the all-seeing Masonic and Illuminati eye, and they have a weird fetish of putting shoes on and taking shoes off. Of course, never showing the faces of their children, but showing the backs of their heads doing all of these bizarre things. Totally creepy for someone who says they want to keep their private life private. Don't put your children on social media then. There's Benny again, a double Masonic handshake. We're going to see in the video. I'm sharing this with you now so you can look for these things when you watch that video. And when I point them out, it will make more sense. And there's Charlie giving Trump the Masonic handshake. People say, well, what's the difference? Most handshakes are web to web with the thumb extended. There are several different secret handshakes, and this one goes over the back of the palm rather than web to web. Try it. if you have somebody at home, just say, hey, shake your hand and see what you do naturally. There are all different kinds. There's also putting the hand on the other person's shoulder. Trump does that a lot, or on their arm. Oh, well, how about that? There's Kyle Rittenauer doing a Masonic handshake with Charlie. Charlie doing the Masonic hand to chin. Greg Laurie doing the Masonic hand to chin. He's a pastor who is being investigated for, how do I put it, child trafficking? Yes, in Romania. There's his double sixes. So yes, this, I can't tell you whether or not he's guilty of child trafficking, but I can tell you that he's flashing Masonic signs because it's all over the Calvary Chapel. Now, this is a fellow that people watch. Again, he's Nordic or Swedish or something, and he does a lot of Masonic gestures. Maybe it's a quinky dink. Oh, there's your friend and not mine, Joshi Green do deal. You know, this was the same day of the Lahaina disaster. He just can't hold back the tears. I've done several videos about this reprehensible individual, and you can see that. More of the Freemasons here. We've got, what's his name? Kramer on the magazine of Freemasonry. And so you can see that again and again. The politicians all over with this hidden hand. And Kyle Rittenauer doing or Rittenhouse. Oh man, that whole thing was a charade start to finish, including the grandfather who was pretending to be the grandmother. Oh yeah, you got to look at those pictures. There's just too much to cover here, friends. Yeah, the hidden, check this out. Look at this right here, holding open the jacket and sticking in his hand. And then there's Newsom. And you're going to tell me this is all not staged, that this photo wasn't selected intentionally by the media, which also, by the way, is infiltrated by the Freemasons and Illuminati. It's not a fairy tale, friends. It's not a conspiracy. It's a fact. Okay, there we've got Ted Cruz, the hidden hand. This is weird. Not only the hidden hand, but kind of like the devil horns. Hidden hand. Yeah, all the media, all the entertainment. There are the Beatles. Yes, sent to destroy society. And oh, there's Benny again. That's kind of the hidden hand, but it's also called the lion's paw. And it's a sign of fidelity that you're not going to give the secrets away. Now, this one is interesting. I noticed Charlie doing this a lot, the knuckles together. And I don't know what that means exactly, but you'll see it a lot. So there's Benny doing it. There's Charlie doing it. Friends, many of you asked me to do a video about the CIA masks because you said that his skull and face, like this picture looks weird. The picture itself looks strange. I don't know why, but it just looks very unusual. And so I don't know if that is a mask, but they do make them that are very undetectable. But you have to admit, it's a very strange picture, but there he is doing that knuckle. And here we have it. Secret handshakes, strange rituals. I'm still trying to get to the bottom of it. There he's doing it again. I want you to look when I break down the pictures of the Freemason and Mormon video. You're going to see this sign again. How often have you done that? Here's another one that crops up all the time. It's like the letter C. And of course, C is the third letter of the alphabet. You might think I'm getting outlandish here. So that's not for you if you don't want to do high level thinking. But now this was in LA when they said they found the arsonist, who started all the cars on fire. Of course, it was a forest fire, but the forest didn't burn, as my friend Robert Brame says. The forest burnt the houses, and the forest fire didn't burn the fire. And here they said that they found the suspect who did it. Yeah, 9 months. That's another significant number after it happened. So I see this gesture again and again, done intentionally and frequently. And there's Frank Turek, and there's Benny Hill, Benny Hanna, Benny Johnson, and there's Charlie. It's done intentionally to signal their allegiance, their fidelity. There we've got Glenn Beck again. This one everybody knows, the pyramid. Yes, of course, people use it in public speaking. You might be sitting there doing it right now. Doesn't make you a Freemason. But here's a Freemason, David Martin. He's got a giant all-seeing eye tattoo on his arm. He wears Masonic bow ties and a Masonic ring, and his logo looks like the Masonic apron. So yes, he is a Freemason. Do I know if he's involved in the occult or dark arts? No, I have no idea. But I do know that he is doing a pyramid gesture intentionally to signal that. So does this guy, lady, girl, whoever. Here we've got more, this one, and more, and more. Now, this was the cover of a book. Out of all of the pictures that could be chosen, the publisher chose this. I've covered his other titles previously with additional Masonic gestures done intentionally. Done intentionally. The media's all in on it, and they're the best buds. Oh, this guy as well with the funny mustache. And as I say, the police, the fire department, they're all in on it, friends, most of them. And how about this guy, your friend and not mine, Mr. Malarkey, pushing those jabs. Joel Osteen, Greg Laurie, Charlie Kirk. So let's do this. Now that we've seen all of that, I want to share with you the images that I grabbed from that video. So in the very, very beginning, and if you do my Substack, peggyhall.substack.com, I will give you the relative time mark. So when you watch the video, if you want to go back to that time code, you can click on it and see it. They do go pretty quickly. And so I spent a lot of time dissecting this to grab these screen grabs of the gestures. They are doing a Masonic handshake. It's a little bit difficult to see. And at the end, I'm going to share some of your comments. Here it is, the Masonic handshake with the hand on the arm. A lot of people shake hands with the hand on the arm. That in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with it, friends. Have to repeat it again and again for people who just stumbled upon the channel. It's all of it taken together. And they are inside a Masonic temple. And they probably didn't give away all the secrets. They probably misled us on several things. But I do think that they snuck in these gestures as a way to kind of mock us or maybe deceive us. Here's the why. Remember I told you the why refi? And I will have to do another video because the meaning escapes me. But I did remember that Rob McCoy at Charlie's political rally that was supposed to be a memorial, he kept talking about Charlie's why and his why and his why and his why. He never said Jesus Christ was Charlie's reasons. He said Charlie's why, Charlie's why, Charlie's why. So a Healthy American emailed me, and if you're watching this, please email me again because I get inundated with your wonderful messages. He explained exactly what that why meant and how it had a deeper meaning. So there you have it. And I showed you that why refi. There they are. Now look at him here. He's doing a little bit of the knuckles. I don't think it's that blatant, but it does pop up again. This man who is a 33-degree Mason, so he's at the highest level. I'm going to show you the steps in just a moment. He did this gesture of his hands, grabbing his index finger again and again and again. He did it in all the different rooms. And I don't know if he's nervous. I don't know if this is a Freemasonry gesture. Let me know if you've ever seen it and if you know what's behind it. I wasn't able to find out, but because he did it repeatedly and intentionally, it put me in the mind to gather it as a clue. Remember, we can gather the clues, we can analyze and assess them and discard them if they have no meaning. But right now, it has been repeated, so I'm taking note. All right, he told us that there are 3 levels for the Blue Lodge. My understanding, there's a Blue Lodge and there's a Red Lodge. And the Blue Lodge has 3 levels. You'll notice at the first level, it's called the Entered Apprentice. Hey, who does that remind you of? Trump, the Apprentice. I'm sure that's why they called that the name of the show. Has nothing whatsoever to do with Freemasonry. It was just a catchy name for the show. Obviously, it's just a quinky dink. Then you have the fellow craft. And it's interesting that in entertainment, they call it their craft. And when you are on set and they bring all of the food and drink for you while you're filming, they call that craft services. I'm sure that is all just a coincidence. And then you are a master mason or a master builder. And that's what Trump called Charlie, a master builder. Please watch my video called Master Builder. Trump called Charlie a master builder. Friends, I've got dozens of Charlie Kirk videos. If you've missed them, you're missing out. I've done hours and hours and hours and hours of research and writing and broadcasting for you on that. The other branch that we're told about in Freemasonry is the Scottish Rite, and that is over here. And that's where you have the 33 degrees. Friends, there are even more. There's Rosicrucians, there's Kabbalah, there's Hermeticism, there are the Knights Templar, there are so many other secret societies, the Skull and Bones. Again, we can dig into those. I'm less concerned with whether or not the person is an Illuminati or a Skull and Bones, other than just to know they're signaling and they're part of a secret society and they're trying to pull one over on those of us who are not aware. All right, this is another screen grab. It's not the same one. And he's doing that gesture again of interlocking his finger. Now, there's that gesture that I showed you that Charlie Kirk and all the others were doing that looks like the letter C. And C is the third letter of the alphabet. Maybe that has something to do with it. 33 signaling 3 and 3 if they're using it repeatedly. I don't know. I'm just sharing it because I see it again and again. It could be innocuous or it could have meaning. I'm making note of it. All right, there again, I couldn't really grab it too well, but of course, pointing, people point all the time. But it is a Masonic gesture. And you know who does it all the time? And I think it's really rude is Bob Jr. Now, I've been a teacher all my life. And when I learned and when I taught teachers how to teach, I always recommended that you stay away from pointing at people. Pointing at people is very aggressive. It's very rude. It's very belligerent. It's just not very friendly. I would say gesture with an open hand or, something like that. But to point at someone, he's not pointing at someone, he's pointing at a picture. But I just happened to capture these two gestures at the same time. They could be totally innocent. He's got the hand to the chin, or it's more a little bit toward the mouth. I couldn't capture it exactly. I'll leave the time frames for you in the Substack. And then he's pointing at the picture. I just thought that was interesting that both of these are Masonic gestures. Of course, the globe is very important. When you are watching podcasters and YouTubers, look for the globe in the background. Some people, I don't want to mention names like, I don't know, I wouldn't like James Roguski. People send me his stuff from time to time. I'm not interested. You don't need to send it to me. Why? He's got 3 globes on a bookshelf behind him. I actually emailed him once and asked him about that. And I asked him why he was a part of some global health summit. Why do we need anything global? My health is no one's business, certainly not the globes, if you know what I'm saying. So here we've got a globe is a very important symbol for the Freemasons. So look in the background of, Charlie's got it in the background of his podcast. And oh my gosh, there's so many of these Trump podcasters. I can't remember all their names. They always have globes on their bookshelf. Well, Peggy, it's just decoration. Oh, is it? Those sets are dressed intentionally. And there he's doing the Masonic hand to chin again. Maybe he just had an itch. And then we've got the moon. I suppose that's supposed to represent also the sun and the moon. Here we've got a staircase. So staircases are also an important symbol in Freemasonry. Take a look. I don't really follow popular music or anything, but you'll see a lot of the, again, set designs or the album covers. They're on a ladder or they're walking up and down a ladder. And of course, brick walls are another big one, because everything that has to do with Masonry, all of the symbols are used to indicate something. And this fellow even says so. He says, all of the symbolism comes from the stone masons. So that can be something that can help guide you when you are looking at these things. There, he's doing that weird finger again. That's just weird. Maybe he's nervous, but he does it all the time. And another Masonic hand to chin. I shared that with you. If you're just hopping on the live stream, go back to the beginning. I gave you background on all of this. He's doing that. You know what? This is weird because I thought I was catching that little C sign, but he also might also be doing the devil horns. You'll have to look at that a little more carefully. And there he's got the 666 sign. And he's the hand to the chest. That's a very common gesture for a lot of people, but it also is symbolic in Freemasonry. Of course, the stones here, this actually came from Joseph Smith saying, I'm like a huge rough stone rolling down from a high mountain. So it's undeniable that Mormonism and Freemasonry are deeply linked. The G for, we're told, geometry and the grand architect of the universe. So the architect is very significant for them, which is why I thought it was interesting that we were told that Charlie's father was an architect. In tomorrow's video, I'm going to share with you that no, Charlie's father didn't build Trump Tower in Manhattan. That was by a very well-known, famous architect. And there's no evidence that I could find that was verifiable or credible that Charlie's father, Robert Kirk, built Trump Tower. But I did find some Freemasonry connections that I'll share with you in tomorrow's broadcast. And it has to do with this G. Gee whiz looks exactly like the ring that Erica Kirk is always flashing. This is interesting. One of the grand fundamental principles of Mormonism is to receive truth, let it come from whence it may. Friends, if you are a Bible-believing Christian, you know that is in direct opposition to the Bible, because the truth only comes from God and Jesus Christ, all right? So no, it just doesn't come from anywhere. That is in strict opposition. A lot of Egyptian symbology, and of course, Egypt had a lot of magic. And I believe that a lot of what Erica Kirk is doing and demonstrating might have to do with Egyptian magic. I'm still trying to connect all the clots on that. Here we've got the Eastern Star, and the 33-degree Mason made sure to say, oh, this is why people think we worship Satan. And some of you pointed out, yeah, you don't worship Satan, it's Lucifer. And when they say you can worship any god you want in that temple, that's probably exactly what they're doing. That's what some of you have said. There again, the neon sign with the G in the center and sort of the sun ray around, you'll see that pop up again and again in all sorts of corporate logos, that kind of thing. Here he's doing it. If you're just hopping on, I showed you in the beginning of this broadcast that Charlie Kirk does this, and Benny Johnson and others. It's very intentional. And it is, in my conclusion, a Masonic gesture. I don't know exactly what it means. I'm still trying to figure it out. Again, I'm less concerned about the meaning, and I'm more concerned about being empowered, knowing that they are signaling and they are all a part of a club that you and I ain't in. So when we see those gestures pop up at these events and these orchestrated incidents, it's like, yeah, of course it's their tell, it's their calling card, letting people know that, hey, wink, wink, nod, nod, you don't have to worry about this, wasn't the real deal. Here's Joseph Smith's Masonic apron. We've got the pillars, we've got the black and white checkered floor, it has to do with the duality, there's the star, we've got the all of these symbols here, the all-seeing eye, and on it goes. Here they're wearing the aprons. This is inside one of their ceremonies. Let me just ask you, is that something you'd want to be a part of? Does that look at all odd to you, grown men wearing aprons and being led around, and they're either blindfolded or they have to close their eyes, being led around by other men? No, thank you, is all I can say to that. All right. There's another Masonic handshake. I think they're getting ready to wrap up their tour here. Yes. So that's what I came up with, friends. And many of you had so many other amazing comments. I encourage everybody to go to my original video, watch that video where I play that behind the scenes tour for you uninterrupted. And you can read the comments and leave one as well. Here, this was from Hattie. This is just a thought. If Freemasons want to make good men better, which is what the 33rd degree Freemasonry said, why keep the ways and means a secret? Shout it from the rooftops, shout it from the town square, share and share. After all, who would want to restrict good men from being better? I think their sanitized version of their practices and their mission is deception first, and then under wraps, their secrets are evil. The rooms are very gruesome, I think. I tend to agree with her. Here's another. The master is intentionally misleading the audience. And there were several comments here. Gilbert says, yep, I caught that right as he started talking. I know a few people who were in this stuff, my granddad being one. Bill Schnobelin gave great details. And he said he misspelled it on purpose. So maybe that's someone else we can dig into. Peggy, it's my understanding that to achieve the 33rd degree title, you must have been part of a Friends, you can read that on the screen. Examples are wars, shootings, fires, floods, hurricanes, etc. Sadly, I have heard that when you get to the 33rd degree, that it does have to do with, how do I put it delicately, perpetrating harms on children. And that is absolutely despicable. I can't vouch for that. More research is needed. Terry says the officer outside the door is called a Tyler. Tyler, like the character in Charlie Kirk's Magical Mystery Tour. I love that, Magical Mystery Tour, because that's pretty much what it was, a magic show. In several of my videos that you'll find in my Charlie Kirk playlist, I did a deep dive on Tyler. The very first witness we were told was Tyler, get a gun. Did you catch that? Get a gun. It was actually get a gun. So we have that little Scottish aspect too, given the Scottish rite. Tyler McGettigun. We never saw his face. He phoned the media somehow and got through and said that he was a witness. And then we had the alleged shooter was Tyler. And then we had Tyler, who was the COO or something. And then we had the Tyler who was in the music video with Erica. And then the lead singer of that music video had a child named Tyler Robertson, not Tyler Robinson, but Robertson. So lots of Tylers. And I did point that out, and I showed you links and everything to Freemasonry and how the Tyler not only guards the secrets, but the Tyler is the one who brings the candidates into the secret fraternity. And it was Tyler who brought Erica as a candidate for Charlie to interview, as we're told. Who knows, that whole story could be a charade. But yes, Tyler pops up again and again and again. Hawk says the main problem with Freemasonry is its hierarchical secrecy, which allows it to be controlled from the top down by people with motivations unknown to low-level members and the public at large. And I agree with that people might think, hey, this is cool, it's going to be good for business, it's like a networking organization, or maybe they're pressured to doing it, especially in the entertainment industry. So having lived in California, I should say, I don't want to spend any time in LA. There are people that are in entertainment, and they all are Freemasons. That's how they get the jobs. That's how they get the gigs. All right. Here's another one. I'm putting a lot of comments here as I look at my notes. The building looks like a government building, which tells me our government is fully Masonic. All the old courthouses, Washington, D.C., looks like a Masonic temple. Well, we know that our founding fathers were Masonic. Of course, Benjamin Franklin, I'm just thinking of names off the top of my head. Thomas Jefferson, of course, George Washington. As we learned in that video, he is pretty much revered in the Freemasonry Society. Erica and Charlie Kirk both wear Masonic rings. And yes, that ring of Erica's is quite something. I don't think the man in the video was quite straight about what the G stands for. And Truth Seeker says the world is deceived thinking they are Christians. I never heard of Charlie before the incident. People are worshiping him like he's Jesus. And as I showed you right now, as I was preparing for this video, there was a live stream, and there's the Masonic rings that Erica is flashing. And she just gives off to me witchcraft and sorcery vibes. I mean, that's my discernment. And I hope I'm wrong. All of the evidence that I'm looking at is not supporting that I'm wrong. I'll have to bring that to you in another video. Friends, I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you for being on board. I appreciate you. Have the greatest audience on YouTube, and a big shout out to our moderators. And then be sure you get on the Substack so you can see all of these images that I've compiled for you. I might even add more. And it's not the end of talking about Freemasonry. There's so much to dive into, but I wanted to start with the connection of the Mormons and Freemasonry, because the incident took place in Utah, which was started by Mormons. It was a part of Mexico, and the Mormons got run out of the Midwest, and they went to Mexico, which then became Utah. And that's why the entire state basically all revolves around oh my gosh, I was going to say Scientology, revolves around Mormonism. I'll have to cover Scientology in another episode, but they really borrow from each other these signs and symbols. Also, Utah being a hotbed of CIA activity, and my understanding is a large number of Mormons are actually recruited into the CIA because of their clean living lifestyle, and they might not be easily blackmailed or anything because they don't drink and they, live kind of a family-oriented lifestyle. That's my understanding. So there's more to that we can look at. As I say, I've got lots of deep dives that I've done for you previously. So if you've missed any of my dozens of videos, this would be a good time to go back and just binge watch. And you can watch on a double speed if you like as well. All right, friends, thanks again. I'll be back with you tomorrow. We'll talk about this Erica and Trump. We'll talk about Charlie's father's not an architect. And I've got additional coverage for you about the biometric travel and how things are not working out as they thought. All right, signing off, and I'll see you soon, everybody.